You're right. Fucking hell. You're right, guys. That was not the most elegant intro, was it? It is I, Gitbag the Great, once more, and here I am again with Flashsupressor, who you guys will of course remember last time from our last GTG podcast, which we did again last Friday. And of course, like last time we were recording it the night before. So,
hi everyone, welcome aboard.
We've decided to just sort of variate it up a bit this time. We're going to do this episode on World of Warships. We might alternate it between that and World of Tanks, but remember, these videos are just kind of like for the discussion that I and whatever guests I might have on are having. And apologise if the gaming footage in the background isn't up to you guys' snuff. If that's the case, I apologise, but like I said, it's mainly just for the banter and the conversation. So, me and Flashsupressor this time decided to go for a bit of World of Warships and have a bit of fun on the seas. Maybe we might be able to do a bit of tanks later, we don't know. But why don't you? I think. Let's see. You've readied up as a tier 2 cruiser. I'm gonna ready up as a tier 2 destroyer.
Good idea.
All right. So So what's been happening with you since we last did a podcast?
Oh, I've been engaged primarily with my extracurricular activities. I have been going to kickboxing classes regularly, and I've been doing endurance running training because I these days regularly do something called the park run, which is apparently a worldwide thing whereby communities just organise a sort of brief run around the park every Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Which is rather interesting.
Phil, you're the commander, you have to start the battles.
Oh, right, well.
So mainly you've just been doing a lot of extracurricular sort of active stuff recently then?
Yeah, definitely. I've also been going to some of the extracurricular lectures organised by the various societies at university, which is something that I recommend everyone who goes to university should do, because you're there, you might as well take advantage of these opportunities.
Yeah, I haven't been really doing that much of that recently. However, I'm going to be going to a extracurricular talk session, I think held in Fulton tomorrow. Which is about a potential trip to China during the summer, which I'm very interested in doing. I've been to China before, but I'd love to go there again. So I'm going along to that tomorrow after my morning seminar. From I think from next week I will start going again to the Anime Society and Video Game Society meetings that I did go to a fair bit during last term. So I might just do that next week.
Fair enough. I wasn't really aware of there being an anime society or a video game society.
Yeah, if you look on the societies page, there's like all that sort of stuff on there. You can see how much it might cost for the ones that charge you to join them, and they all give you like a description. The one that's really annoying to join through that system though is the boxing society, because seemingly they have really shitty communications. Like I've tried contacting them multiple times about joining them because I love boxing myself, and I've just never gotten anything back from them.
Oh,
it's just
unfortunate.
Yeah, it's just really weird as well. It's because I really love boxing as well. It's just I'd like to do something, and I need to improve my fitness at the moment anyway. So that's something I'd say people do.
Yes, definitely. I
was just going to say, it's just when they go to university is just to enjoy it and do the societies they want to do. But I'd say also maybe join like a couple of physical ones, or most universities, as I'm aware, do have a gym somewhere on the campus. So maybe usually those gyms are particularly cheap anyway, so you might want to join one of those. Sorry, what?
When I first went to university, the advice that I got from pretty much every quarter was to join at least one club, preferably multiple clubs.
Yeah. That's the advice I got from my brother. I mean, he went to a very different university. He went to Bath, but he gave roughly the same advice, essentially. He gave the same advice that you should just try and join as many as you can. And to be honest with you, I've kind of been a bit lax on that. I should have been... I mean, it's not like I haven't joined very few. I have joined quite a lot, but it's like the ones I really should have been going to, I haven't really visited to them that much recently, so I should probably start going to their groups a bit more. But
Fair enough. Yes, my chief criterion for selecting something was that it should perhaps be relevant to my course, but also that it also I thought it would be best to do some that would get me some physical activity. Those were my two main thoughts on which ones I should choose.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing as well. I mean, the thing is, I really should be doing a lot more physical exercise as a young man, but I did join like mainly the ones that interested me, but also some that I thought but also some ones that I thought would also be useful towards my curriculum. I mean, me and Flashsupressor both do history and politics courses, so I naturally joined the Politics Society, I've joined the Labour Party Society, I've joined the History Society. I should really go to them more though, because I've been shitty and like pretty fucking lax, to be honest, with going to them. But I'd definitely say like the same as what you just said, is like, you know, pick the ones you're interested in. Maybe pick one or two. Maybe pick one or two like physical ones if you're really into that sort of thing. But also pick like one or two that are maybe like more relevant to your course. Phil, you there?
I'm here. Sorry, I'm just I'm in a bit of a pickle over here.
Where are
That's
you?
the thing, I sort of... It's sometimes difficult to... well, manage to concentrate both on conversation and on gameplay at the same time, particularly in something like a multiplayer online battle arena.
Yeah.
Phew. Well, fortunately I'm dead now, so I'm fully committed once again to the conversation.
Well, the thing is, like, when we do these podcasts, I try to just, you know, just to relax, just play very casually and don't take it too seriously. Like, that's the main thing about these podcasts, is they're just meant for discussion primarily. The gaming is just kind of background stuff.
Oh, no, that's fair.
I mean,
yes.
I've seen podcasts...
Now, when I first started at university, the societies I joined were the Politics Society, the History Society, which neither of which are particularly onerous or time-consuming, sort of go along to whatever events they organise that you think you might enjoy. And I also joined the Fencing Society because swords, play, weaponry and so on is something I've always been interested in. I thought it was about time that I did something and did some of it in practice.
Yeah, and apparently Flashsupressor is the reincarnation of a dead German knight.
What part of that is German knight related?
Well, I mean, you're Anglo-German and you're like getting into like fencing and stuff.
True, true. I do have recurring dreams whereby I'm a soldier in what would seem to be Frederick the Great's army, but...
Shit. Yeah. No, that makes sense, coming from you.
Yeah. No, I just think that to have a more well-rounded appreciation of the sort of history that I was interested in, I should be doing it in practice. And fencing is a great sport, there's absolutely no doubt about that. I really enjoyed learning it.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing that I would say is don't let prejudices about what clubs you think you ought to belong to kind of hold you back. I mean, sometimes you might find that something you didn't think you'd be so into was actually your thing all along, something that you thought would be perfect for you might not always work out as well as you'd hoped. For instance, when I first started, I joined the scuba club at the beginning of last year as well.
Yeah.
More or less, I sort of sleepwalked into it. I went along to their taster session, then I thought might as well continue with it. And,
Yeah.
I just sort of wound up doing it. And, I continued with that. I'm on the club committee of all things, which kind of happened by accident, but there we go. So, yeah, and I gave up fencing after a year for a variety of reasons. Not because I didn't enjoy the sport, but because, the club kind of wasn't working out for me. So, yeah, like I say, keep an open mind as to what you might be interested in.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I consider myself kind of just a casual anime viewer, but at the same time I have enjoyed the couple of anime society meetings I've gone to, considering that the people there are quite of, some, have very specific tastes, as, many in the anime community want to do, but at the same time they're mostly open-minded people, and so I quite like that. I think the thing, I mean, I don't really look for a specific criteria in a specific society. I just have a general one, like, people in there are open-minded, they're very accepting, and then of course the add-on to that is it something that I'm interested in, or is it something that might be useful? So, like, I'm interested in anime, I like video games, I'm interested in, sci-fi and horror, I'm interested in doing things like that. But I've also joined things like, the Politics Society and the History Society, which I really should go to more, but even still, it's like, still relates into what we said earlier.
No, definitely. Yeah, so the point that I think everyone should take away is definitely take up multiple clubs at university, have some diverse interests that can give you a bit of a break from your studies, get you out and about a bit more.
Yeah. God, that was an alright match for me at the first one.
Oh no, it was good. I haven't really played in the Chester that much. It's a bit of a self-defeating ship design, because it's one of those ones that has 4 guns, but because 2 of the guns are positioned either side of the conning tower of the ship, you can only use at most 3 at a time.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I think the main thing with the Chester is to just keep it as like a medium range, because it's not really so much a brawler. It's kind of just got it's just got.
So I got two up close and personal there with those ships in that narrow passage between the 2 islands.
Yeah, it's got very sort of medium weight armor, and it's it's tanky enough, but at the same time it primarily is for just pumping out the shots rather than brawling like, say, my battleships are.
Right.
I've actually gotten a couple of battleships already. I've got the Tier 3 and the Tier 4 for the Japanese. The Russians I'm mainly concentrating on destroyers, and then the Americans and Germans I'm concentrating on cruisers.
Fair enough, yeah. So I'm mostly going down the American cruiser line and the Japanese destroyer line.
I especially love the American Tier 1 cruiser because it's so overpowered. It's got like 152mm artillery cannons that the Germans, for example, don't see on their cruisers until like Tier 3 or 4. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So you're running around just pummeling the shit out of heavier ships. And the Erie was like quite a small ship as well, so it's tricky to hit if you know what you're doing.
Yes, definitely. I like the Erie.
Yeah, it's easily my favourite Tier 1 ship in the game so far. Still a bit annoyed that they've only got 1 British ship in the game. Yeah.
Is that a premium vehicle?
Yeah, it's the HMS Warspite.
Oh, well, that is a lovely ship.
Yeah, it's an amazing warship. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
The last of the super dreadnoughts.
Yeah. So I think the only classes they have in the game are aircraft carriers, cruisers, destroyers, and battleships. But God, yeah, no, it'd be nice to have sort of like a little side type of, like you said, dreadnoughts. Thing is,
what I'm really hoping for is that one of these days they're going to bring in a patch in which they introduced submarines.
I don't know if they do that because
I doubt it, because that would be extremely difficult to program, and it would be kind of difficult to balance out with the gameplay.
I used to play a lot of Battle Stations Pacific, and that game had submarines in it, and submarines in that game were just ridiculously powerful. You had to have a lot of skill to do really well with them, but at the same time they were fucking evil, like little bastards, particularly the Japanese micro subs.
Oh, yeah.
Those were horrible to fight on Battle Stations Pacific. They were so fast, and they only could fire like two or three torpedoes before having to reload completely. And yet still they did loads of damage because, torpedoes are torpedoes, and they also had like depth charges, and they were really small and fast. They were horrible to fight, but they were really, really well designed machines.
I'm sure.
It's actually quite... Yeah, and they were so advanced they even used some of them in the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. Many people actually forget that, the fact that Japanese microsubs were involved in the assault on Pearl Harbor.
That is true, and in fact, one of the crewmen on one of the submarines, all of which were sunk in the Battle of Pearl Harbor, he became America's first Japanese POW.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I can't remember his name, but...
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stories behind a lot of the Japanese military technologies used in the war.
Yes, for instance, did you know there was a kamikaze torpedo?
Yeah, I also knew there was a plane that was literally just designed for kamikaze as well.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
interesting. It's a sort of rocket-powered aircraft that is extremely small with very stubby little things. I can't remember what it's called. Are you ready? I don't...
Yeah, sorry, what are you going in with?
I'm going in a Tier 3 Japanese destroyer.
I'm going with my Tier 3 Russian destroyer, my favourite ship so far, the Dersky. Very, very nasty little ship. Let's see, what's its guns again? It's got model 1910 torpedoes, and I've got 3 102mm 60 model 1911 cannons.
Nice.
And it's quite manoeuvrable as well. It's like easily my favourite ship I've used so far. Oh, pardon me. I'm sorry I'm burping so much.
My favourite ship in the game so far, I have to say, is probably the Hashidate, the Tier 1 Japanese cruiser.
Really?
Well, I don't know. I kind of liked it. I don't know, I haven't played it in ages, but I felt it was pretty manoeuvrable, and it had a good reload time. I think it actually reloads slightly faster than the Earring.
Yeah, might do actually. Phil, I'm ready.
Okay, starting battle.
You have to keep your eye on the ball, man. I don't want to remind you, you're fucking time.
Well, I'm not used to being the commander. This always happens whenever I'm the commander, even if we're in World of Tanks. I sort of don't know how to do it.
Christ almighty.
I'm one of the grunts. I'm a GI. I'm not an officer.
Yeah, but the thing is, in like real life, you're a lot bigger and taller than me, and you've got this big, booming, crashing voice. Like you'd be like brilliant, sort of like at least NCO material.
Well, perhaps if I joined the Navy, I'd buck up my ideas a bit.
Yeah, but would you still go on board with like your Highlanders hat or something?
I fear that that's not standard naval uniform. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know, maybe full kilt and so on can be naval uniform, but I kind of doubt it. I've never yet seen a Highlander naval uniform. I don't believe such things exist.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense. I mean, if a kilt got waterlogged, you couldn't move in it. It's heavy enough as it is.
Mm.
Kilt has about the same amount of material as 2 3-piece suits in it. Just layered over and over.
Yeah.
Battle starts.
I think going right would probably be the best bet at this point. Just kind of like skirt around like light tanks in World of Warships.
Alright, we'll work together. We deactivate anti-aircraft, but that's not a concern. There are no aircraft carriers in this match.
I don't.
Otherwise, we'd show up where we were.
I don't really ever deactivate anti-aircraft anyway. I'm not. How do we do it again?
Not sure. I did know this, but as I say, I haven't really been playing this for some time yet. So we'll go together and we'll. I'm sort of still learning how to use destroyers.
Yeah, destroyers are a bit tricky to learn how to use. I mean,
Oh, sod it.
it kind of fits me quite well because the thing is, on World of Tanks, I use a lot of like light, heavy. No, it's not light, heavy. I mean, light and quick and sort of hard-hitting tanks, like light tanks and mediums. So, I mean, the idea of destroyers suits me quite nicely, actually.
Yeah, same here. That was what appealed to me, the fact that it's a bit sneaky. Unfortunately, my computer has decided to stop playing, more or less. I've still got, it's weird, it's the same thing that happened to me the other day. I've still got full control over my boat, but the camera is not moving at all. I can't adjust the visual or anything, so I'm pretty much dead in the water at this point.
Yeah, shit. Maybe we should switch over to World of Tanks in a bit.
I think so, after this match.
Alright, well, we can still talk while this match is going on.
Yes, definitely. That's actually probably better. It's not so much of a distraction.
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, the main concentration of these videos isn't the gameplay, it's the talking points.
I know, it's just World of Warships, I tend to get a bit more invested than World of Tanks. I don't know why, I just actually think I prefer it, and I'm actually a lot better at it than I am at World of Tanks.
I still prefer World of Tanks personally, but I do think this was the best game released last year. Easily. It's such a good release.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, so bringing the discussion round to something else. Let's see. I take it, following up from our last discussion in our last podcast, I take it you've heard about what happened in Brussels.
I actually haven't been keeping that up to date with British politics in Europe over the last week or so, unfortunately.
Alright, well, the gist of it is that David Cameron was broadly successful. He achieved most of what he wanted with only a very few compromises. It's actually quite impressive. There were some all-night negotiations going on for a while. But no, he managed to get something respectable put together in time for the deadline.
Yeah.
And yes, he's come back, and now the campaign on the referendum is in absolute full swing. The confirmed date for it now is the 23rd of June.
God, yeah.
Yes. 6 of Cameron's cabinet members who are backing the Out campaign. Which is a bit embarrassing for him.
Yeah, especially from a party that is quite commonly Eurosceptic. That is bizarrely contradictory, but at the same time, you know, they're kind of like individuals. They've got to have their own views, really. Alright, we'll just quickly switch over to World of Tanks, and we'll catch up with you guys in a little bit. Okay, so me and Flashsupressor were there in the middle of a discussion about Legend of Korra, and unfortunately I had a bit of a power cut, so we're just starting over again here. Do you remember where we left off with our discussion, actually?
Yes, we were debating the respective merits of The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra.
Oh, yeah,
I was defending Last Airbender as a superior series, you were defending Legend of Korra.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is...
With the understanding that we both absolutely adore both series.
Yeah, the thing is, objectively, I think they're both just as good as each other. It's just out of personal preference. I think Korra's slightly better, but...
Yeah, I sort of felt that way when I was watching it, but having gone back and watched some of the original series again, particularly Season 3 of the original, I think it's still my favourite. There's one thing that I do find slightly superior is the sort of level of creativity in the design. I mean, in the original, you have something that's set in medieval Asia, supposedly, and then they bring in tanks and steam-powered zeppelins and goodness knows what else. Whereas in this, it was sort of, early 20th century European and Asian, stick a few sort of Asian minarets on things, and there you've got it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still a good aesthetic, and it's still really creative.
I did really like that, how a lot of the time it was a very much a fantasy mixed with a sort of a, you know, World War One era sort of action sort of film style feel, but whenever they were in Republic City, it kind of also felt a bit like a 1930s crime noir sort of film. And I really liked the blend of styles they had in Korra, and I think they did it quite seamlessly, really. I never really
Yes, I absolutely agree.
I never really felt like any of the themes or designs really contrasted badly against each other. I always felt like it was a well-designed series overall.
Oh yes, definitely. But, yeah, I mean, Republic City is pretty much just a combination of New York, Shanghai, and
For me,
San Francisco, basically.
Yeah, for me it's a combination of San Francisco, New York, Shanghai, Tokyo, and Moscow, all like mixed into one around the 1920s or so.
That's interesting. Where do you get the Moscow aspect?
Just a little bit of some of the boulevards made me think of downtown Moscow just a bit, but not so much. I mean, more so than anything, it's really kind of a mix between Shanghai and San Francisco, but I just felt like little bits of all 5 of those cities here and there. But primarily, I think it was a cross between Shanghai and San Francisco. But that kind of lent itself to a very interesting, like you said, mix between Eastern Asian sort of philosophy and mysticism, along with that sort of film noir sort of style. And yeah, like you said, the steampunk sort of technology used in Korra was superb. Some of the designs was just spectacular.
Yes, I agree. No, it's all good, and I really like it. Yeah, I don't know. We're just doing it to sort of see how the two compare, because we both love both of them completely.
Yeah, the one thing I hear people talking about a lot with the Legend of Korra, I mean, because most people I think either say the same thing as me, that is that it's just as good as the Legend of the Last Airbender, which I think is fair enough, even though I personally think Korra is slightly better. But the one thing I always hear people criticising primarily about Korra, or at least bringing up as a point of discussion, is the ending. With many people either saying they really like it, or they really don't like it, or they're just kind of confused about it.
The ending? Why? What particular part of the ending?
Well, the thing is, I mean, there are some people who say that, thematically and sort of in terms of story, it doesn't make much sense, which I strongly disagree with. But the one thing I think,
I don't see that. No.
Yeah, no, I don't get it at all, really. I think it's a very well told ending, to be honest. But one thing that people have a lot of confusion over is the fact that it might be of whether or not the image of the 2 main female characters at the end holding hands is kind of like a indication that they had a sort of romantic relationship, or that show promotes gay relationships. And the thing is, I was saying this to you and another one of our classmates earlier when we were back at uni, just after our seminar, that I kind of think it's fine to really, it's fine like to sort of like hint at the end that the characters might have a sort of same-sex relationship, because like I said earlier when we were at uni, the sexuality I never really felt was the mainstay of the characters.
No, absolutely.
And identity. And, that's going into a series like Korra, which is a very mature series in comparison to The Last Airbender, and considerably darker, to put it as well. So, the idea that all of a sudden Korra and this other female character, I'm not going to spoil it, are gay, doesn't really bother me in any way, to be honest. I think you do have to take a lot of care when you do it to a character that has their sexuality being one of their mainstays of their character and has been established for years and years and years and years and years.
Yes, I mean, it's not so much that it is gay sexuality, it's just that they are 2 highly compatible characters.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I think when people say, like, oh, I have a problem with turning this character into this particular social group, I think it's not such a big problem, really, just so long as the character themselves is well written. I think the primary concern shouldn't be about, oh, what is this character? I think it should be, write them as an interesting character, write them as an engaging character, make their sort of, struggles relatable and identifiable, write a good story around that, and then decide what kind of, sexual or genetic or racial features they should have. The fact that Korra is a sort of essentially a bisexual sort of Native American sort of like Inuit, North Canadian Inuit sort of kind of woman doesn't really bother me at all. It's just what the main concern for me is the fact that she's a well-written character, and even still, like the idea. I mean, so when someone says, "Oh, they're changing this character that's been established for 60 years, and they're changing it to a particular sort of representation that contradicts their character," I think, okay, well, that's a bit weird. Right?
Yeah.
But now, when they do it to a character that's only been at that point was only around for like a couple of years, like Korra, they hadn't made her sexuality her core characteristic, or even one of her main ones. I don't really have any problem with them making her, bisexual, and the fact that the bisexual couple they hint to at the ending, it's actually quite a sweet one. It's it's not really that big of a problem to me.
No, it's not really sexual at all, is what I'm saying. I mean, throughout the last 2 series, we see hints that they do work really well together, and they just have really compatible personalities.
Yeah, and at least as early...
There's so many great scenes where they fight and work together to overcome problems.
Yeah, and at least in as early as the first series, we see that these 2 female leads do actually get along really well, so it's like... It's not like it's even a badly established relationship. They clearly evolve from being friends, as many relationships do. I think
it's absolutely great. I like it.
I think it's remarkably human and sort of realistic, and like I said, I don't care whether a character is any sort of background, regardless of sexuality, race, or whatever. Just so long as they're a well-written character. I mean, this is what I always say. If you want to make a good, well-written character, you write a blank slate. You make a good character into that blank slate. You write what are kind of their motivations, and then you write in the setting at the same time, and you think, okay, now that I've written the character and the setting, what could I give to their sort of identity that would most suit that?
Yes, definitely. Ironically enough, considering its reputation, I think one of the best examples of that being done in practice has got to be Game of Thrones.
Oh yes, absolutely.
I mean, you could so easily have had Daenerys being male.
Yeah.
Or any of the other characters, like Arya could have been male easily enough. But no, it made such perfect sense for her to be a girl.
Well, and what I quite like as well is, like, a lot of the other characters seem to use her gender as a focal point of how they see her, but she herself rarely addresses her own sort of gender or sexuality in any way, really. And as a result, she kind of embodies this general spirit of being free of any sort of, like, individual oppression or, presumption. And, it's quite... In terms of her character, it's quite a neutral sort of character, but I just kind of like how she sees herself as an individual, free of anyone's interpretations of her, and kind of challenges the idea that she's this little princess. I mean, I don't really talk too much about sort of social justice and sort of gender issues. I mean, I think it's fine if people want to talk about it, but I think the way she sort of sees herself as an individual of her own creation is quite interesting.
Yes, definitely. No, I think it's really good when, if you do talk about these social justice issues, you don't shove them in our faces, like in, I don't know, Captain Planet, to take a really obvious example.
Oh, God.
Do something like what, remember when we were watching How to Train Your Dragon 2?
Yeah, it's like...
And you said, what was that line about? And I said, that's him basically coming out as gay.
Yeah,
it was just a throwaway line that didn't interfere with anything, but it made so much sense.
Don't when you're talking about being gay or being black or being Muslim, I think be proud of and sort of like own your sort of pride to who you are. But don't over philosophize it. Just talk about it as if it was a normal conversation, and that's how they do it in Legend of Korra, you said, How to Train Your Dragon 2, you know,
Penetrate their armor.
Game of Thrones, loads of other bits of modern medium, and it works out so much better then, because if you over-philosophize it and think of it as this great social struggle, then it kind of, I think, devalues away from, you know, the actual issues that surround, you know, being black or being gay or such and such. Just talk about
it. Should be part of your identity, but it shouldn't be your only characteristic.
Yeah, just talk about it as if it's a normal subject. I mean, not trying to put down anyone, of course, because of their identity at all, but it's just like, just talk about it if it's a normal subject, and you're done, basically.
Huh? They're going to come around the corner any minute.
Yeah, I've absolutely had the shit beaten out of me. That KV2 really smacked me up. But, yeah, so that's our thoughts on Legend of Korra. Definitely watch it, and definitely watch Last Airbender as well.
And one thing that I was going to ask you about, given that you have Amazon Prime,
yeah,
have you watched Man in the High Castle?
Man in the High Castle,
the one about the alternative universe in which the Nazis won the war.
No, I haven't, no.
Check it out, I'm told it's good. I'd sort of like to see it if I ever get Amazon Prime, I might look at that one.
No, the historical drama that I've been watching a lot of recently has been Deutschland 83. It's an absolutely fucking superb film. It's basically...
Yes, I'm told.
It's this semi-real life sort of story, I think, about this East German soldier who basically has to go over to West Germany and spy on the West Germans and the Americans during the Cold War in the early 80s. It's a fascinating story, and it kind of reminded me of this. It kind of reminded me of this tale actually that my dad told me, where because my dad's an artist and he used to work in this arts gallery in southeast London, where one of the other people renting out a studio at that gallery was
We've had it. Everybody out.
Was this German guy who used to be part of the East German military, and this East German guy once said to my dad, "Oh, Raymond, you because my dad's name is Ray." He said to my dad, "Oh, Raymond, you cannot understand what it is like coming over to a capitalist country during the Cold War and having these people who send messages after you saying they're going to kill you." And it just sort of sounded like it was like really kind of hauntingly close to that, the story in Deutschland 83.
I know, it's somewhat Orwellian. I mean, living in Berlin, it's sort of surrounded by the memory of that.
I mean, the most striking memory of that for me is, I mean, of course I'm not from Germany and I wasn't alive around that time, but the most striking sort of image of like that for me was if you look at sort of a nighttime sky map of Berlin, one side is like got yellowy, sickish lights.
Yes.
The other side has got bright, vibrant, healthy, bluish white lights, and you know, it clearly indicates which half was under control of the communists and which one was under control of the capitalists. And
yes, indeed, that's still the same today.
Yeah, it's such a striking visual representation of what the Cold War was like for Germany in particular. It's fascinating, even just as a visual picture.
It is, yes, definitely. In Germany these days, you can go and look at all your old all the files that would have been kept on you by the Stasi if you're an East German citizen or you ever went to East Germany. Yeah. My father almost definitely has one. He went through East Germany on his way to study in Poland and Russia.
What half of Germany are your family from again?
Well, we live in Berlin, but we're all British.
Ah, right, okay, yeah, sorry, I keep forgetting that.
So I was born in Bonn, the capital of West Germany. And my parents lived and worked in West Germany until the German government all moved back to Berlin in about, must have been 1999 for my parents' apartment. Yeah, because I was been 4 at the time.
Yeah, because I remember that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the wall fell down and the country was reunited in 1991, but it took like 7 or 8 years for the government to re-centralise in Berlin, didn't it?
Yes, well, they wanted to move it gradually so that Bonn wouldn't be totally disadvantaged.
Oh yeah, absolutely, of course.
Yeah, which is fair.
It's still quite a thriving city, isn't it?
Yeah, it's doing great. It's doing great. Yeah, definitely. I think it's quite a financial and industrial centre.
Yeah. What's the beer like there, actually?
West German beer? Yeah, I'm told it's quite good. It's not as good as sort of South German beer, but still.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely want to try some Bavarian lager at some point.
I mean, there's no such thing as bad German beer, to the best of my knowledge. Other than, is Budweiser a German beer?
I don't know if it is actually. I swear there was like a beer in, I think it's Cologne, that's supposed to be really, sort of
That's
just...
possible. There's a beer in Berlin called Berliner Kindle, which is apparently not that great.
No, I think there's the main sort of like commercially produced beer in Cologne. I think it isn't supposed to be that good.
Right.
I'm not quite sure. I can't remember which German city it is. I think it might be Cologne, or I think it might be Dresden, or something like that. Not quite sure. I can't really remember. I do remember the Mighty Jingles once made a video about where he'd gone to Germany. I think it was Cologne, and he said the local beer there was like just really weak. It was kind of shit, and they only served it in little pincy little 250 milliliter sort of glasses, which is just like, to a British person, that is just wrong. You know, serve it in a half pint or a pint, nothing smaller.
Definitely.
I mean, this is coming from someone who regularly, when they go to the local sort of student pub, they'll get either a pint of either local ale or Dutch beer.
Okay, Dutch beer. Never had that.
Oh yeah, no, Dutch beer is actually really nice, particularly Amstel. Amstel is fucking lovely. It's a really, really good beer. No, I mean, I know you're German, but I'm telling you now, the Dutch know some good beer recipes.
I'm sure that's true. Don't doubt it for a moment.
Yeah. Although, to be honest with you, despite the best efforts of Germany and Belgium and the Dutch at making top quality beers, my favourite country for lager has actually probably got to be Spain. Some Spanish beers are just gorgeous. I mean, like Sol, San Miguel, San Miguel Fresca, Del Soro, these lagers and ciders that are just out of this world. It's so nice. I mean, Spanish wine gets a good rep, and rightfully so, but like Spanish lager and cider is just fucking beautiful.
Well, I wasn't aware of that. I knew about Spanish wine, but...
Oh, Spanish wine is absolutely superb. Try some, particularly Spanish rosé. But honestly, Spanish lager and cider are just fucking superb. Honestly, like a chilled out sort of a San Miguel with a nice paella or something is like something you just have to do at some point. I thought you were going to die there when you showed your side of your
I thought I was as well for a moment.
Yeah, when you showed your side to the tank, I was thinking, oh my god, Phil's going to bite it, and then he was just like, nope. Instead, these other two tanks are going to die for some reason. I was just like, wait, how the hell did he survive that?
I don't know. I just sort of went out, realised, whoops, and then went straight back.
Yeah.
Okay, send the advance. I'm going to go up to this firing position up here next to Cromwell. You go ahead.
I know you haven't been playing this game as long as I have, but I would definitely say give the tank I'm driving a chance, because it is fucking superb. I've had it for ages now.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, the ARL-44. The French actually did design it during the Second World War, but it didn't go into action until just after the war actually ended. And
yeah, that can be said of most of the French tanks.
I'm not quite sure if they actually did end up using it in Korea. I don't think they did, but it was in service for a few years.
Fair enough.
Oh shit! Sorry, I kill stole you. I'm so sorry about that.
Not to worry, I'll do exactly the same to you.
Wait, what? What did you just say to me?
I said I would steal your kill every bit as much as you would steal mine.
Oh yeah, actually no, I remember that. Yeah, no, to anyone who's watching, me and Phil here, we once had like a Tog 2 game where, I had the chance to get, I think it was like 4 kills and get like a mastery badge, like first class. Phil stole the last kill, so I was stuck with 3 kills.
Is that not one of the ones that we filmed?
I can't remember, but it was just, I just felt like sort of skinning your eyelids and just feeding you your scalp. It was just like, you absolute bastard. And it was like the last enemy in the game as well, and he had like 38 health or something, and I was just like, oh god, yeah. Fortunately, you don't seem to kill steal too much, which I do very much appreciate.
Well, I wouldn't do it deliberately, no.
I've got a fucking eye on you.
Do I have another go with the Tog, or do you fancy something different?
Yeah, no, let's go on the Tog. The Tog's always a fun tank anyway.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. So right. So we discussed a bit of politics. We discussed a bit of TV. We discussed Korra. We discussed Deadpool. We've discussed a bit of World of Tanks, World of Warships. What else can we discuss? That's what's been happening recently, or what at the very least has been going through our minds recently.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed all the religious weirdos on campus. I certainly have.
Oh my god, yes! Yes! This is something actually some people who are going to Sussex might notice, is there's been an enormous increase in the number of really sort of quite considerably, like very, very devout Christian groups, you know, patrolling around campus, like spreading their prayer groups. Now, if
they're not the respectable kind of Christians either, like COB or Catholics.
No, but
they're the sort of hippies.
No, but let me make something like very clear. Like I said earlier, I don't really care what someone's religious beliefs are, just as long as they're a good person, and you know they respect other people's views and they don't use their own views as like a cudgel, right?
Yeah.
I don't mind if someone is a Jew or a Muslim or a Christian. If they've got a good character, then I'll like them, and then I'll, consider them to be a good, rational person. But, like, I agree. I think, like, it's kind of a bit intimidating when you've got these big groups of, like, any sort of group, regardless of whether it's religious, political, or social, just, like, patrolling around.
And when they come up to you, I mean, I've sort of had them with their signs doing these sort of quasi-psychological tests on you.
Really? Have you had that happen to you?
Yes, indeed. I've had that.
No, I haven't had that happen to me. Actually, no, I did have something like that happen to me last year with not any religious group or even a social group actually come to me, but I did have the anarchists come up to me last academic year and try and recruit me, and I was just like, sorry, I really don't like you guys. Like,
I said, sorry, I'm actually a neo-Nazi.
Wait, what?
No, they're just to mess with them.
Oh, right, not actually, like, mean it, just to fuck with their heads.
Yeah. I mean, I did that with this Christian lot as well.
Oh, no, you know what you should have said to them? You should have said, oh, sorry, I'm actually a Satanist.
Oh, wow, yes. Okay, I'll bear that in mind. I'll do that next time.
Yeah.
This is the thing where...
didn't go through.
Just say to them, like, oh, actually, if let me pose you a question. Do you have the time to hear about my Dark Lord Beasley?
Oh, that's good. That is so
just
good.
Like fucking mess with their heads and just freak the shit out of them.
That would be really entertaining.
Now
I reduced a couple of them to near tears afterwards because I basically told them how much contempt I hold their religion.
I don't hold their religion in contempt. I just hold their particular, sort of like way they sort of, I don't have anything against standard Christian, everyday Christians, but it's just the way they project their message I have a problem with.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I sort of knew what they were on about, so I decided to make it as obvious as possible that I was not interested.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I don't like people coming up to me like that. I just think.
I know. I went to I sort of listened in on one of their meetings in their big tent.
Yeah.
Ones that didn't have guitar music. Can't stand that. Yeah, and I was hoping for something rational because I was sort of thinking along the lines of what John Stuart Mill would have said. He who knows only his own side knows little of that.
Yeah.
Sort of had an obligation to go and listen, even just for academic reasons.
Or as I like to call him, John's fucking Stuart Mill.
Why? What's wrong with him? Are you not a liberal?
No, I am like ultimately in my head I consider myself liberal, but it's just that he's like one of my favourite political writers. That's why I call him John fucking Stuart Mill.
Oh right, as in John Cena, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so just like something really extreme like that.
Yeah, I really like John Stuart Mill. I'm particularly fond of his point that, and this is relevant to these sort of Christian people on campus. I like his point that, if anything, an even greater danger to society than state control is societal control, where the majority or even just a very loud group in society tries to control everyone else.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, the thing is, like, I know it sounds very naughty for someone who ultimately mind is liberal to say this, but I'd much rather have a state that controls, you know, the politics of our country and the economics of it, rather than have a government or a social system that just controls how I am supposed to think and how I am supposed to move and speak. Because to me, ultimately, the main tenet of society and the role of government should be to protect people's freedom of speech, movement, purchase, property, and all that sort of stuff. I do think, you know, we all have a duty to help each other, but at the same time, it's like, I'll be damned if anyone is ever going to tell me I'm not allowed my freedom of speech, unless I, you know, of course, use it as a cudgel against someone. Because that's the thing he says as well, is like, you know, you should be allowed to have your freedom of speech and your freedom of movement, but only so long as you don't use it to harm and limit the freedom of speech of another human being.
Precisely, yes.
I think it's look, the thing is, like, every political ideology is going to have some big problems with it, but to me, that particular principle is probably the most practical one I can think of, really.
Yes, and that's the main selling point of liberalism, if anything. It's just
exactly.
a practicable one.
Exactly. It's just, you know, there are many more political ideologies that are going to be much more morally acceptable than liberalism, but liberalism ultimately is the way it is because it's practical, rational and logical. That's where it comes from. Its main tenets are logic, reason, and you know,
potential of the individual.
Yeah, and you know, as you know, trying to get objectivity, not actually believing it is objective, but like trying to, you know, gain an objective sense of, you know, equal freedom of speech and, you know, equality of opportunity. I think it's, you know, it works just fine.
Yeah, totally.
Which is kind of like...
Although some would disagree. Another thing that I went along to recently is another lecture by the Politics Society.
Yeah.
This time on the Black Panther and Black Power movement, with a particular emphasis on the Black Panther movement in Britain in the 1960s and 70s. Which is interesting because I never really knew about it. We always talk about race relations in America, but that kind of then glosses over race relations here, which haven't always been perfect.
Let's get this show
No,
on the road.
I think...
And it's kind of like you just hold up America as a standard and say, we're not as bad as this, so things are pretty much okay.
Technically we weren't.
Well,
so...
no, we've never been that bad. I mean, we've never had official segregation. But there's always this sort of tendency to, focus a bit too much on the positives almost. Like, like the stories of white American GIs objecting to black American GIs in pubs in Britain when they came over, and British people fighting alongside black GIs whenever it turned violent.
Yeah,
that's true. That did happen. I mean, I don't know. I'm no expert on race issues or anything, but I went along just to sort of see what there was, and it was interesting. It went a lot deeper than I had ever thought of it. So I don't know. I honestly just don't have an answer to it at all.
it's a very deep, old question that a lot of people are going to spend years of their lives just philosophizing about. I suppose that's, for some people, that's all you can do. But I mean, me personally, I think it's better just to have a practical conversation about it. But
yeah, definitely.
you know, people are always going to agree to disagree.
Yeah, I got shot near to death by that T-150. Yeah, it's interesting. And I went to and I was in the sort of looked in on this guest speaker who was talking on whether science has disproven religion, which is a very loaded question anyway. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, there's never been a scientific investigation into whether or not God exists. So
no. The thing is, I personally believe in science, reason, and logic over religion any day of the week. You know, 100%. I mean, I respect other people's beliefs to, you know, believe in religion because they're, you know, human beings can believe whatever they want, as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, as far as we can tell, you know, science is much more provable and is indefinitely more, you know, believable than religion in every sense of the word. But the actual existence of a god hasn't, you know, technically been disproven. I personally don't think there is one, but the fact that there hasn't been one that's been disproven is, you know, an interesting point. It's definitely a good point of discussion. No,
it is a good thing to discuss, but you know, when I was in the tent, it was just a complete load of waffle right the way through.
Oh, what was the actual presentation not that good then?
No, not really. I mean, there were a couple of interesting points made, but you know, it didn't really dispel the notion that, well, not necessarily that you can't be religious and be a scientist. I mean, that's obviously true that you can be religious and be a scientist at the same time, but it didn't seem to answer the question terribly well. It just seemed to me as to be a bit.
Yeah, that's the problem with
such
that's the problem with such loaded questions. That is, you've got to have sort of like a balanced stance on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can believe strongly in one side, I think, but you've got to ultimately have a balanced stance and, try and be as open-minded as possible. But chances are, more often than not, when you go to a talk like that, the people will be very sort of one single-minded kind of people, and you're more likely than not going to experience a sort of talk where it's very much one way is the way. It kind of makes me sad, the fact that happens so much with such loaded sort of topics.
Well, to some extent, that's kind of why I went along to it, because I sort of thought that, well, I thought that there should be, well, not necessarily for this one, that was just me being there for academic interest, but for something like the Black Panther song, I thought it would be best if, you know, not just only black people go to it.
Yeah.
And there wasn't only black people there, actually. There were quite a lot of perfectly, you know, just interested members of the politics society there. So I don't know. I just tend to stay well clear of any too extreme side to it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think, like, ultimately I like having conversations about sort of like politics and race and stuff, but sometimes people are just going to get too they're just going to get too sort of like touchy and uppity about any subjects really. And
well, in all fairness, I didn't detect any hostility from these sort of Christian people.
I know, but it's just like
I detected a sort of bit of an air of kind of self-righteousness.
That's what I really fucking hate, is just when people take their side of the argument as absolutely imperative, and in something like say science, where, you know, or history, you know, where it's, you know, provable or semi-provable, then that's somewhat acceptable. But where in something like say philosophy or politics or social theory, where it's all arguably subjective, I fucking hate that. I absolutely fucking hate it when people do that with politics or social philosophy or philosophy in general. It's just absolutely agonises me when people do that. You know, everyone's going to disagree on something. You just have to realise that there's no right or wrong answer.
Well, I'm not sure about. Well, I'd agree that there's no right or wrong answer in terms of a moralistic sense of right and wrong. But I think it is accurate to say that there is a more practical answer. There's a more workable solution to sort of help.
Oh, no, yeah, of
manage
course,
the
absolutely. I mean, that's why I consider myself liberal at heart, really.
I mean, I really, and yes, I mean, I really admire John Stuart Mill precisely because he laid down these arguments for freedom of speech and freedom of the individual, and they're still the mainstay of the liberal argument to this day.
And they work.
And they work, and there's no need to change them. I mean, I do think there can be grounds to remove freedom of speech from certain individuals.
Yeah, but I'm just saying only when they like do something that actually limits or promotes the harm of other individuals.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, if someone were to call me a swear word on the internet, I would not give a shit. But if like a person at a workplace limited my pay purely based on what I am, then that is active discrimination, and that is limiting my freedom of pay and movement. So that would be the moment when you would have to act on it, really.
Yes, definitely.
Which is why when people say like, oh, you know, we need sort of more internet safety because someone called me a sort of an arsehole on the internet, I just think like, you know, just grow a thicker skin. It's really not that big of a problem. However, like, you know, if someone is like, say,
threatening your life.
Actually threatening your life and releasing actual, real, personal information about you, then you don't fucking act on it, because then they're actually doing something that will harm you and limit you.
Enemy armor is damaged.
You know, just calling you a cunt or a fucker or something on the internet isn't going to limit you in any way at all. It's just, it might be a bit insulting, but it's not going to limit you, really.
No, absolutely.
We're immobilized.
I've had people call me a big fucking hairy ape on the internet before, and I literally don't care.
Yeah,
Locate another target.
I've never really had that because I'm not really on social media or anything like that.
No, that's kind of like fair enough, to be honest. I can completely understand.
Not specifically because of this, just I've never really needed to, so I've never really been exposed to it.
Well, keep in mind that you are the lord of technophobes. I mean,
I'm not a technophobe, I'm just a techno-utilitarian.
Look, every time we go to Sainsbury's, you're always reticent towards not using the self-service machines, even though they're more practical.
Yeah, I know. I'm totally in favour of machines replacing humans. I just prefer that when they do, they don't keep the sort of nasty attitude that we dislike humans for.
They don't have a nasty attitude. What the fuck are you on about?
Well, they're always so facetious and impatient. Please put your bag in the bag. I put my bag in the bagging area.
How the fuck are they impatient? It's not out of their attitude. It's the fact that they're just not that well designed.
Oh.
And they're not sentient beings. How can you fucking account for their attitude if they're not a fucking active, cognitive, living being?
Target lost.
I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that
Great shot.
that's not good.
Wait, what the fuck? Oh my god. I can't believe we got capped. And the fact that there was an artillery there trying to suicide, like, tried to kill him.
I did not notice that at all. How did I not notice us getting capped? Damn, I actually didn't do too badly on that one.
I'm blaming that on Obama.
Oh dear. That's an interesting thing. American politics. What's your position on current issues and, well, let's go with the American presidential race?
Right. Hillary, don't want her to win. Trump, don't want him to win. Pretty much the only one I can think of as being the most practical and least morally irreprehensible has got to be Bernie Sanders. You know,
yes.
He seems like a decent, salt of the earth sort of bloke, and yeah, he does. Like, people are like saying, "Oh, he's betrayed his like socialist roots," like the fact that he's accepted corporate sort of payouts. Every fucking American politician does that. It's literally a part of the structure and character of their system.
Yeah, there's no way you can't.
The fucking fact is that you can't get anywhere in American politics without payouts, and you never have been. I mean, you know, it's like, it's just the reason why I don't like Clinton isn't because she accepts corporate payouts. The reason why I don't like her is because she's fucking insane and is an egomaniac of the utmost degree. I don't like Trump.
True, but she's an experienced politician.
Yeah, she's an experienced politician, but that doesn't mean she's a good one. And then Trump is just, he's a fucking arsehole, and he's only really like well known because he's a big business person and ran a few kind of shit reality TV shows. I mean,
That's interesting.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't mind if people vote for him or not. It's like their choice, it's their freedom of choice and their right to vote for whoever they want. But at the same time, the guy is nuts. The realistic, I mean, I don't like any of them really to a massive degree, but the only one I really accept as being morally and practically plausible would be Bernie Saunders, because he seems like the...
I don't know, wouldn't he then cause too much polarization? I mean, when you look at all the other candidates, Republican and Democrat,
Yeah.
they are so clustered in the right-hand side of the spectrum.
Yeah, but the
And
thing
Bernie
is,
Sanders is left-wing even by European standards.
yeah, but the thing is, like, that has been American politics for years now, since at least the like mid-80s. I mean, you look at sort of American politics in the mid-80s, and particularly, you know, political media, it just kind of like all of a sudden starts to really polarize and centralize itself around individual ideologies. I mean,
Yeah, so to a certain extent we can blame Reagan for that.
yeah, to some degree.
He's
Yeah.
the person who's really responsible for the word liberal becoming almost an insult. And, well, no, I think that might actually have been Bush who's responsible for that, but Reagan certainly started the attitude.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I also find it very bizarrely amusing how many in the American political sphere kind of call the Democrats, or, you know, people like Bernie Sanders, socialists, and while they are considerably might be have some social democrat sort of leanings, you know, compared to like socialist parties in, you know, Europe, they're very, very centre. I mean,
America is just so right-wing in general.
yeah, it's very much an individualist sort of, you know, neoliberal, conservative valued sort of nation. And, you know, that's not trying to diss America at all. They can believe in what they want to believe in. And, you know, whatever is more practical for them, they can do, as far as I'm concerned. But it's just like their definition of socialism isn't really quite the same as what would be apparent in Germany or Britain or France or something.
No, definitely, it's a totally different situation. It's like our American politics professor told us at the start of the course. You just need to abandon all your preconceptions about how politics works, what the left-right spectrum looks like and everything. We are going deep down the rabbit hole in this course. Let's go up through this mountain pass. I like going through.
I am not going up there in a tank this slow. Fuck that.
Fair enough.
Are you kidding me? In the Churchill 3 of all things?
I don't know, I just find that usually the path of least resistance.
Yeah, but have you seen the power to weight ratio of this thing?
Fair enough. It does take a while, even in something like the Hunter 4.
Oh, fuck.
Пробитие.
What the f... Hang on, the SU-5 can't do damage that crazy.
Проезжающий контужен. Скорость перезарядки снижена. Пробитие. Пробитие. Пробитие.
The Doral.
I shouldn't have stuck there so long, but there was just so many targets to hit.
Let them all go through. I'll keep you covered on the ridge to the side.
Yeah, I'm just pulling back a bit just to get some cover. Yeah, ultimately I want Bernie Sanders to win.
Yeah, same here.
It's kind of like, it's kind of sad how Obama's presidency has ended, because, you know, there was this whole big hope about him. You know, he's the first he's the first sort of, you know, president in America who's black. That's, you know, that's huge news, and I think it's, you know, it's a good thing that it's been such an inspiration to black people around the world. It's, you know, it's a beautiful thing. But I mean, realistically, what has he done policy-wise? He's done actually.
Well, he has done a bit, actually, particularly for Afghanistan. He's done more healthcare reforms than many presidents have managed.
Yeah, but think about how those health reforms have gotten off. Like, the launch of, like, Obamacare was rife with technical difficulties, and you know, wasn't properly online for like a couple of months at least, and then there's the shutdown of his government that happened at least 2 times, and you know, one of those times it happened for like almost 3 weeks. It was just insane, and you know, there were some people who thought the American government was going to collapse, and some. And then, you know, there's of course things like the GP oil crisis, the fact that it took so long to remove American soldiers out of Afghanistan, and even then not to full extent. Realistically, I don't think he's done that much. I think
No, well, it's not his fault. It's, you know, it's just the fact that the political system is so polarised.
I don't even know if it's just that. I think he is just because he's a bit sort of wishy-washy and just really hasn't pushed home that much. I mean, the fact that he's a black president is, of course, not to be understated. He has made a huge impact in that regard, but the fact that he's done so little policy-wise, I think, is something that people tend to overlook really quite a lot.
Oh, that's fair.
Повреждение гусеницы. Шанс разрыва увеличен.
Phil, you're right.
Гусеница
No, I was
повреждение
just
невозможно.
concentrating on that. Yeah.
Повреждение гусеницы. Шанс разрыва увеличен. Повреждение гусеницы. Шанс разрыва увеличен. Гусеница сбита. Движение невозможно.
Did I kill him? Yes!
Holy shit, you actually managed to take him out.
Oh, thank heavens I set him on fire. Okay, phew. Well, that was a spectacular final match. If it is the final match, I mean, I'm happy to do another one.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Actually, yeah, should we do another one? Yeah, all right, let's do one more.
No, we'll do one
actually.
more for the road.
Yeah, let's see. So I suppose the one last sort of thing we could ask is, give me a second. What are your plans for the weekend?
My plans for the weekend, I have nothing concrete. I'm going to, other than doing the park run thing again on the Saturday morning. Other than that, I have no particular ambitions. There's nothing that, don't know of any events on in Brighton or anything that would appeal.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm probably going to write another recipe on my blog or something, but I haven't got anything set in concrete either.
We'll see if anything pops up. I don't know of any films in the cinema that I'm particularly anxious to see.
I think I might have a look myself.
I mean, I don't know, is The Revenant still on? I may see that.
Let me just have a look.
I may go on a sort of day trip out to a town somewhere.
What?
Oh, why not?
Wait, what did you just say? I didn't quite hear that.
Said I may go on a day trip out to another town somewhere.
Oh, right, okay. I thought you said you
What
were...
do you think? I said I'd go on a gay trip out to it.
Wait, what? No!
Oh, right, what do you think I said then?
I thought you said you'd gotten a date.
Oh, well, thank you for the tone of surprise.
Oh. Sorry.
No, I'm not angry, I was being facetious.
Oh, right. Let's see, there's not... See, tomorrow at the Brighton Odeon... let's see, there's Grimsby, there's Deadpool again. I'm not watching Alvin and the Chipmunks 5.
Oh, gosh. I'm told it's the best Chipmunks film.
Fucking... Yeah, by those standards it probably is, but by my standards it's still going to be shit. Let's see, there's the Dad's Army remake, there's Zoolander 2, Revenant is actually on tomorrow, yeah, it's on at 1:45 and 7:30.
Well, if you wanted to go and see that, I'd come with you to see that.
Yeah.
I'd only be able to make the 7:30 one.
Yeah, of course, I'm not going to like the 1:45 one. That's just ridiculous. Yeah, no, I'd be up for going to see the H.7 one.
Yeah, alright. Let's do that.
It'd probably be another good opportunity to write a review of that as well, because I remember I wrote a review of Deadpool just after we went to see that.
Oh, definitely, I read it.
Actually, and yeah, maybe this time as well we can actually go see. We can go to that place you recommended that we go to eat last time.
What, you mean the Italian one or that other all-you-can-eat Indian one?
I don't know, which one did you recommend?
Well, I recommended, but I think you're talking about the Italian one, which would be great. I'd like to go to that one, the sort of all-you-can-eat Italian buffet place.
Alright, we might as well go to that then, if you can remember where it is.
Yeah, it's just sort of straight down the main street. Oh, yeah.
Alright, okay, yeah, we'll do that then.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. We may either go and eat there first, maybe? I don't know.
I'd personally prefer eating there afterwards.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, the Revenant's been out for quite a while and I've been meaning to see it, I just never knew what it was like. But I heard generally that it fabricates some parts of the main character's story because it is based on real life, but at the same time, it does, for the most part, seem to reflect it or retell it very accurately and in an entertaining way, so it's supposed to be a very good film at least.
I'm just told the cinematography is excellent.
Yeah. Yeah,
because it's interesting, they actually filmed a lot of it in Argentina as well.
Yeah.
Because the original filming locations in Alaska were melting too fast during the filming, so they had to quickly pack up and go to the other end of the continent. And they used it as an opportunity to raise awareness for environmental issues.
I think the
Penetration. Enemy armor is damaged.
For me, like one of the funniest examples of like filming somewhere else and setting it in another place is when they filmed the 1993 series Sharp.
Yes, they filmed most of that in Crimea.
No, actually, it was in Turkey mostly. Yeah, they filmed a lot of it in Crimea, some of it in Turkey. I think they even filmed a bit of it in Greece or something. But the whole thing is, for the most part, set in Spain and Portugal.
Yes, indeed. I heard about that, and actually, they used. It's actually quite interesting in terms of film history there, because there's no way that they could ever have made that series if it hadn't been for the fact that the Soviet bloc had just fallen. Yeah. And a lot of the soldiers that they get as the extras are actually former Soviet Army, Ukrainian Army soldiers.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Which, you know, is another great thing. It provided them with a bit of employment just after the wall had fallen, so kind of served a double purpose, really.
Yeah, no, it's excellent.
Yeah, no, it's easily my favourite TV show, Sharp.
I still kind of like, I like the first few episodes of Hornblower a lot, with Bjorn Grufford.
Yeah, Hornblower does get a bit ridiculous at points, though.
Yes. I mean, when you see him jumping between ships like a real action hero, it's a bit off.
I mean, like, yeah, the thing is, like, in the action scenes in Sharp, like, Sharp is ultimately probably one of the best, if not the best fighter in the show, but, you know, he's still like a human being, and he still gets the absolute shit beaten out of him sometimes, and he gets, you know, shot and stabbed, and, like, yeah, he's kind of like just I mean, he's tougher than most soldiers, but he still is a soldier and a human being at the end of the day. I kind of felt like a lot of points with Hornblower, he was just like, you know, basically a Welsh version of Jason Statham, basically.
Yes, no, definitely. Yes, no, the Sharp series is good, and Sean Bean does well as Sharp. He does pretty much all his own stunts in it, in the action scenes. And he's actually a really good fencer as well. Yeah. Interestingly, most of the swords used in that are genuine period pieces as well.
Yeah. No, the actual sort of German heavy cavalry saber he uses later on in the series is actually really quite a fascinating sword to look at. It's very well designed.
Yes, though I think the sword that he gets later on, after the one they craft for him,
Yeah.
rather than the one that he has at the beginning, is not, in fact, a genuine period piece. All the other ones are.
Yeah, but even still, it's just a fascinating design to look at.
Yes, indeed. Very interesting. It really fits his character as well. You have something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man. Well, it's been good having a lot more like smaller conversations to talk about. I think what was good about the first podcast is that we kind of had this overall narrative and this overall sort of thing to talk about, but I think it was good this time we had like loads of little bits and bobs to just chat about for like 10 or 15 minutes at a time. So
that was good. I think for next time, what we should do is we should sort of, specifically keep an eye out for topics that interest us. And maybe prepare a few points.
I don't even think we have to have an overall narrative every time. I just think we have to, have enough stuff where we can talk about for at least a little while. So in
all fairness, we did have something of an overall narrative this time.
Well, it's something, but maybe less so compared to the last episode. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing anyway. I'm just saying it's a different approach. But I mean, even still, like, thanks for coming on anyway, and thanks for providing a lot of the meat and gravy to the conversations.
Anytime.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, we hope you guys have enjoyed hearing this podcast as we have enjoyed making it and all that sort of mushy shit. And I'm just going to go now and eat some of my leftover shepherd's pie and chickpea salad. And
for my family.
What are you going to have for dinner?
I am going to have... I think I'm going to have myself some nice noodles and tomato sauce.
Nice stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, we you guys have enjoyed watching this episode as we have had making it. Again, don't forget to like, favourite and subscribe. Have fun with whatever you're doing. Stay safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. I'll see you guys next time on the battlefield. I'm Gitbag the Great.
And I'm Flashsupressor.
I have to prompt you every fucking time.
Well, to be fair, you didn't necessarily have to prompt me that time. There was just a very slight awkward pause before I jumped in.
Fucking dickhead. But yeah, stay tuned for next time, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Oh, fuck off, you dickheads.